Okay, welcome everybody to our NBHS information session today. So hopefully we're going to give some really good information about how to get started with a chapter if you're new here, and we're going to hopefully give you some good information if you already have a chapter.
It looks like $419.
A few reminders. So Glenneth, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yes, sure. Sorry, somebody was yelling. I think one of the custodian forgets that there are still people in here. So they're just yelling in the hallway. Hi, everyone. I'm Glenneth Monkus, and I'm at Hoover High School in Hoover, Alabama. I teach career preparedness, ninth graders. Have 3 of those this year, and then 2 junior classes of accounting 1. So I've been helping with NBHS for a long time. I feel like most of my membership with NBEA has also been part of NBHS, mostly because of Madge Gregg. She was very active when she was still working. And my first year here at Hoover, she said, "You're joining NBEA." I said, "Okay." And then a couple of years later at a conference in Arkansas, somebody asked me to help with the National Business Honor Society. And I said, yes. So that was, I don't know, 8 years ago, maybe. So this year, this is my second year. I'm helping as the governing council chair. So there are several of us that get together twice a year in October and February, and we review all of the applications for new NBHS chapter. So in fact, Margaret is here, one of our new council member. Violet is here too, and then Denise as well. So Denise Parr. She's also been a long time NBHS advisor, just like me. And Denise has actually presented at NBEA conferences about having a vital NBHS chapter as well. So then Margaret has helped with the Mississippi High School, and Violet is also in the collegiate level. So I'm very excited. 2 of our council members can't be here to help and answer questions. So anyways, I'm still learning. I've been doing this for 8 years, but there's a lot of new things about NBHS. So I'm glad that you all are here. Thank you for coming.
Go ahead and share my screen.
Oh, and Delane is here too. Delane used to be in the council as well for NBHS. Sorry. So.
Do you see just the full PowerPoint, or are you seeing?
All good.
Okay.
Just a slide.
Okay. Yeah, I was trying to I have 2 screens, but sometimes I need 3.
Yep. I have my phone as my 3rd screen right now.
Okay, so just a couple things, some things that we're going to go over today is we'll do an overview of the application process. So obviously, if you're interested in getting or beginning a chapter, you'll definitely want to pay attention to that, and we'll provide you with some tips on how to get through that and where to get the resources to fill out your application. We'll discuss the requirements for chapters, and of course we'll have some Q&A time about we'd like to hear from you if you have any questions about joining or renewals. And also we're going to examine the benefits and resources that are available to NBHS chapters. And Glenneth already introduced herself. So we're really happy to have her. She's really great to work with. I guess I can introduce myself. My name is Becca. I know a lot of you already, but I am kind of the staff liaison for NBHS, and I work with NBHS on really an administrative level. So when it comes to making payments, or even when you turn in your application, you'll actually send that to me, and I make sure that it gets where it needs to go.
Okay, so the first few slides here, I'm just going to speak from an advisor, from a teacher who has an NBHS chapter in the school. So that's going to be where I'm going to be talking about. So why should you have an NBHS chapter or a National Business Honor Society chapter in your school? So the number one reason why we have one, sorry, is to obviously provide honor and recognition for our students. And the second one is to promote our business education program. So this is one of our things that we use to brag and promote our program. And this is also a great way to retain, I probably should have put that as the third bullet, to encourage for students to stay in the business department and also retain enrollments in our schools. So we encourage our students to stay because at the end of the school year, at the end of their senior year, they get to wear the National Business Honor Society honor cord. So in my school, we wait until they're a junior to be inducted in the Honor Society. And so that encourages them to stay and keep taking business courses because of that honor cord. At Hoover High School, they will do anything just to be able to wear something at graduation. We are allowed to wear all of this honor cords or honor society cords, and one of those is also DECA. Some get to wear a medal or a stole, but it's a competitive process to get to be in that list of societies that can wear their cords at graduation. So the National Business Honor Society is one of those. And we do this big induction ceremony. We invite people in our community, the parents. So again, it's a great way to promote our business education program, to get the name out there that we are a program that has an honor society, and that honor society is under the NBEA umbrella, which is the premier business education association in the country, in the world. So going to the next slide. Becca. So just kind of want to show you some pictures. So this was our last year's induction ceremony. So we didn't have as many, half of our inductees couldn't come and attend, but we do this at a church next to our school. It's a really nice place. We have a cake for them, balloons, and just programs. And then the other picture over there is just our brochure. We have a Business Entrepreneurship Academy. And if you notice, NBHS is in that, is on our list as well. So we tell them, hey, take business classes so you get to have this honor cord. Okay, so going on to the next one. I'll put the website in there if you guys are interested, check us out. So promote and recognize and brag on our students. So I'm going to go ahead and show you guys this. So our students gets to wear we provide them with the cord and also with the pin, but you can also buy them a keychain. And of course, we will also provide a certificate for them. And we'll talk about certificates later. So during our induction ceremony, our students receive a cord, a pin, and then their NBHS certificate. So they get to wear that, brag about it, put in their resume, and then also, again, wear it at graduation. Okay, so what is NBHS? Going on to the next slide. There we go. So of course, this is our purpose of our society, the National Business Honor Society, just promote and recognize academic achievement, encourage leadership, help our members grow ethically and socially, and then encourage members to be involved in community service. So these are some of the things that your students who are inducted into the Honor Society, these are the things that they can do and accomplish during the year. And many of our students, we do this in conjunction with other activities in our department because we're very busy. So there's no need for us to create just a different activity. We do too, but most of the time we do it with Business Academy activities as well. So moving on to the next few slides. The next few slides, this is the principles that governs the society. So this is actually an example of what we read during our induction ceremony. So we as teachers, we just remind the students about this. So of course, there's involvement. And then the next one is, and that blank over there, you can just put in your high school's name in there. The next one is achievement. And then the last one is leadership. So that is, again, just to remind our members of why they're into the Honor Society or why they are in NBHS. And then the next slide will be the NBHS pledge. So during our induction ceremony, we ask them to stand up and recite the pledge with us. Okay, so those are just, I guess, just a reminder of what we do or what is the purpose of NBHS, not just toward the core, but also at the same time, again, encourage our students to be involved, to be leaders, and to achieve more. So the next slide, I want to talk about who's eligible. This is also on the website, but at our last webinar, I think we just dived into the process of applying, and I just wanted to review. So who is eligible? High school junior or senior who has completed 3 business courses or currently enrolled in a 3rd business class. And you decide if you're a chapter in my school. Again, we do this during their senior year so that we are sure that they have completed 3 business courses. Sometimes if they're just enrolled in a 3rd business class, if the GPA for the 1st and the 2nd is not enough, then they may wait until their senior year. But we have this option here because we've had seniors that may have transferred from a different school. And this is what we use so that they can still be inducted into the Honor Society, even though they're already a senior, but they've only taken 2 business classes, but they're enrolled in a 3rd one. And then 3.5 business course GPA. So for us, we request their transcripts so we can actually verify that. We have an application process, an application form that they complete, and that kind of helps us narrow it down as to who's eligible. And we request transcripts from our school. So as a chairperson for the governing council, since we're the one who reviews applications, we are usually asked a couple of things. So the first one, which is going to be in the next slide, is what is considered as a business course? And this really varies by state because, well, generally, let me just go look at the first bullet. So generally, what is a business course? So it's any classes or courses under the marketing, business management, administration, entrepreneurship, and finance pathway or cluster, I guess. But then your state department could also change that a little bit. So for example, in Ohio, I think they have a business marketing and information technology education. So their computer science class is part of the business marketing and IT. So that is one as well. And then I always just ask, well, what business classes do you teach in your business department? And usually the smaller schools or the private schools, this is where, you know, it could be an issue or a gray area. I usually get those questions as well. So for those of you that has already a chapter, if you remember during your application process, you have to turn in a list of your courses because again, that's really, we look at it to see that you do have enough, you know, 3 business courses. So when we're asked this question, what are business classes? I usually just ask them, or I would go to their to their Department of Education website, and I would look at, you know, what are their pathways or clusters. So if it falls into that, then it counts as a business course. Another question that we're usually asked is it a half a credit or a full credit? And to us, really, if they get a course credit for it, then it counts as a business class. Does that make sense? So if it's just half a credit, but it's not really a course, then, well, I guess semester or full year is another question. So to us, if it is considered as a class or a course credit, then it doesn't matter whether it's a semester or a school year. So there's not a lot of high school that I guess has semester. I know they have blocks. So the National Business Honor Society is also just for high school. We don't have the college level yet. It's just a different ball game in the college. Like there's the business department. I know Margaret, you probably can discuss that. It's just a different, you know, there's the department is just structured differently than high school. Okay, so the next question that we're asked too is, who are the business teachers? What do we consider, who do we consider as business teachers? So on the next slide, And again, it depends. To me, if your principal or your school or your state designate you as a business teacher, then you are a business teacher. In the application, your principal will attest and sign and verify that all the names listed in that application are business teachers and that nobody else was taken out, because one of the requirements for NBHS is that all the business teachers in your school must be members of NBEA. So I put it in here as an example. In some of the smaller schools or maybe private schools, like a math teacher could be teaching one business class to fill up, his or her load. Then if that person is just teaching one business class, then we will not consider them as a business teacher. And again, if the school says this teacher is a business teacher or the state designate you as a business teacher, then that's what it is. So this is why we have a governing council, because we do review that, we verify, we check that everybody, all of the business teachers in your school are members of NBEA. Sorry, I must be just getting tired.
Yes, there's a question in the chat.
Oh yeah.
About hospitality, tourism, and so forth, if those would be eligible courses.
So it's if it's part of your business department, or if it's under in your state Department of Education, if it's under that cluster, then it is. But most of the time they're really not. They're just a CTE course that is just under the CTE umbrella, but it is a different pathway or cluster when it comes to that. So if we're looking at a specific school, I will have to look at the state first and see where this class falls in their matrix or their pathways. So generally, hospitality and tourism is not. Marketing management is, but the tourism part is not, like.
Thank you for answering that question.
Yeah.
The main reason is because I understand it probably isn't under the umbrella of business, but at the same time, our classes are named marketing management, hospitality, entrepreneurship, hospitality, and I'm teaching them the standards of, I feel like, a business course, but I'm not sure if our actual umbrella is business. So I guess I'll just talk to someone, I guess. I don't know.
Oh yeah, so it should be like when we go look at the course description, when you submit that application, or if you already have a chapter, just talk with me directly, and we can look more into that. But yeah, looking at it, it says marketing management, although I guess you're just focusing on the hospitality and tourism industry part of that. So, but I know, if you cover all those business courses, so we can look more into it.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, but I see, the marketing, the entrepreneurship. So I'm sure the council will help me decide as well. So that's why there's 5-6 of us looking at it. So thank you. Forget about the chat. So, okay. Do you guys have any other question? I think this is the last slide that I have before we dive into the process. So when you decide if you want to have an NBHS chapter, then you'll go to the website and go look at the steps. So Becca, you want to discuss this, or you want me to?
Either way is totally fine.
Okay. You go ahead, so I can take a break, and just gonna get my thoughts together. Seems to be
sure. Okay. So when you are ready to start the NBHS application process, what we'd like to do is invite you to check out the resources on our website. I have it listed there. We've provided links to help make the application process as easy as possible. If you scroll down the page a little bit, you'll find the startup kit. And that's a really great tool to break down the requirements involved with having an NBHS chapter. You'll also find a link to a sample chapter bylaws document, as well as the application itself. So really everything that you need to get your application going is right there on the website.
Mm-hmm. And the bylaws, there's already a Word copy of it. I would highly recommend to just take out the blanks, put your school's name in it. We've made it easy where you don't have to really come up with new words or any new rules. Just follow the bylaws, because that's the basic that we require. So sometimes if there's some major changes to the bylaws, then we may not approve because it may not follow the NBHS policies and procedures. So I would highly recommend that, just start with that basic bylaw and just, make it yours by adding your school and taking out the footnotes and the instructions part of it.
And the council does review applications 2 times each year. They'll do once in the spring. February 1st is the deadline for that. And of course, the upcoming deadline is for fall is October 1st. So anyone who's wanting to apply, you'll need to make sure that you get all of your documentation in by October 1st, so that I can get that uploaded and passed on to the council for review.
So the 3 things that we're looking for will be the application form itself, which is I think a page or 2 pages, and then there will be the bylaws, and then there will be the list of all of your courses that you count as a business course or that you teach in your business department. And then of course Becca will process the payment, and she will verify that all of the business teachers that is listed on the application are current members of NBEA. We always believe that our students, if we expect our students to be part of an organization, we ourselves should be part of the organization that governs, I guess, that. So yes, if you want to do an induction ceremony in the spring, you want to get your application by October, because we'll usually review. I'll give the council maybe 3 weeks to review that application, and then you'll hear from Becca and us around November. If your application is approved and that you are a chartered member, Becca will send you the logo and the letter and all of that in your charter, a letter that says you are an official NBHS charter. So yeah. So our goal is usually for Becca to be able to send everybody an email before we go out for Thanksgiving. So, do you need a certain amount of funds in the account to start? No, really. The biggest one is where is your $200 application fee going to come from? Who's going to pay for it? In some schools, the principal takes care of it. For us in Hoover High School, we have a school store. So our fundraiser store takes care of that, because, well, for us, it's just a renewal. So, but we still have to have those funds because before students actually put money in it. So yeah, so for us, we require our students to pay $20 fee to be inducted into the Honor Society. And most of that really just to buy their cords and their pins. And then the rest, we get it from our fundraisers or from our department account. Sorry, hold on. Do you need? Becca, remind me again of PO. Are we allowed to do PO? I thought maybe not.
We do not accept POs as the payment. So if your school, goes through the PO process, you can certainly do that. Send it to me and I'll invoice, but you're not considered paid until we receive the actual payment.
So you have to be paid before, so the PO has to be in before the October 1 due date?
We do have a little bit of wiggle room with that. We do understand that, depending on how your, school district processes checks, sometimes it can take quite a while to get a payment processed. So, as long as you are in contact with me, and I know that it's in the process and I do have a PO, but even if you were approved, your account and chapter would not be active until we receive the payment. Does that make sense?
And because, yeah, it takes us about 3 weeks to review all of that anyway. So if you go ahead and send in your application with a purchase order number, then hopefully within that 3 weeks before we send out the notification of who's been approved, or you'll hear usually from me if we didn't approve, because I'll tell you what you need to fix. Becca will send out an email that's saying you've been approved and here's what you need to do next. So yeah, so there's almost a month time in there to get that check in, hopefully your school. And trust me, my school is slow with that too. So this is usually why we discourage purchase order, because you don't want to be waiting for your chapter to be approved because of that, because there's no application payment yet. Okay.
Okay, what you see now is just a piece of what the bylaws template looks like. So, and again, you can find that on the website. And Gleneth, do you want to talk about the chapter board requirement?
Yes, so let me talk about the bylaws first. I know a lot of teachers usually will have their students complete the form, which is great. Just be sure that when you turn it in, you know, all of this is the footnotes number that we're looking at. So we want the application, the bylaws to look professional. So if it's not consistent, if all of these instructions are still there, we might, you know, send that back and it's like, hey, can you please fix that? So that's just kind of cuts on to the email back and forth by just making sure that the bylaws are formatted properly. And then the chapter board, you have to have your board of advisors, and you as a chapter gets to decide how, you know, what they're going to do specifically for you for your NBHS, but it has to be several members. And when you put that on the bylaws, you don't have to actually write their names, just put their positions, because obviously, you know, that the people could change later, but just no students. You don't want it all to be just teachers. You want to have a mixed group of people that's going to be advising you in your chapter. So for us, this is usually just the same board that helps us, the advisory board for our department. We just ask them to also serve as the NBHS board. So that usually helps. Let me go see what's on the chat. Okay, yeah, Becca, you got it all. So yeah. So the NBHS application, yeah, there it is, the chapter fee. Good.
So when you submit your application for review, there are 2 different fees that need to be paid. So we've kind of talked about those a little bit. So there's the chartering fee. So this is your application fee. You're going to pay $200 the first time when you submit your application. And all of your teachers will need to join NBEA at that time as well. So the basic bronze membership for teachers is $149, and the chapter application fee is $200. So that will be on the first year. On the second year, your chapter fees will actually drop down to $100 for the renewal. Now the teacher fees will stay the same and will be $149 every year. Unless pricing changes, but so that's what you're looking at in the way of the fees, but we did kind of talk about that a little bit already. And do please note that each of your business teachers are required to maintain an active and continuous membership with NBEA. There has been some we got off track a little bit because of COVID and no one was in school and the business offices were closed. And so there were some issues with that, but we are getting back on track, or well, I think we are back on track with all that now. So it's good to be back to normal.
Okay.
And so there's a couple of things that I want to mention, just because there has been some confusion when it comes to the accounts that you will have once you join NBEA and once your NBHS account or NBHS chapter is approved. So you'll want to make note that as a chapter advisor, you have access to 2 different accounts. So you're going to have your school account, which is your NBHS chapter account. So this account is going to stay with your school. If you were to change to a different school, that account stays at your school, and you would, it would just need to be updated with new advisor information. So the account information will be passed on to the new advisor and updated accordingly. And this account is primarily so that we always know who to contact for your school. The things that you need to make sure that you keep up to date there is your advisor name and contact, email address, your principal name and email address. And we actually have a new field that is required when you fill out your profile there, and that is to list all of your teachers. So that gives us a really easy place to refer to when we need to know what teachers are in your school. And that way, if there are any changes, new teachers or retiring teachers, that kind of thing, it makes it easy for us to refer to that.
So there was a question in the chat. I'm a small school. I'm the only teacher. Is that a problem? It's actually great, because then, you know, you're the only one who has to join NBEA. So we have no minimum requirements for how many teachers in the department. So you'll be the advisor. You'll also be the business teacher. I personally, this is one of the thing that I've heard my colleagues say that they can't have an NBHS is because they can't get all of their business teachers to join NBEA. So especially when you're in a bigger department, that's get to be tricky. So it's a great thing if there's just one or two teachers. That's a lot easier to establish, actually, because you're not have to, you know, I guess, convince the others to join. Yeah. So.
And on Evelyn's question, when I said to list all of your teachers, you're going to list all of your business education teachers, because each of those teachers should also have an NBEA account. So that will make it easy for us to know, you know, that maybe the teacher that was there last year has retired and you have someone to replace, that kind of thing.
Excuse me, I was going to wait till the end, and what I'm going to say is a lot to type, especially at the end. We have, our business department is with the computer science department. And so we have, you know, 6 teachers right now, and we have 2 open positions. I'm actually teaching 7 business classes right now. And yes. And so, which is actually, I'm almost the only business teacher, you know, because we have a lot of CS, you know, and stuff like that. So I was wondering, almost like the question you had about us, you know, that you're the only teacher in the high school. So like when you go to our school site, you'll see 7 or 6 teachers listed, but they don't teach business classes, or like 2 of them teach one class, you know, one class. So, and also I just want to confirm that, because if I ask these, thank goodness they're not here, but like, if I told them that they had to, they'll be like, I don't want nothing to do with it. I'm not doing nothing. I don't want my name on anything, you know?
Yes, I understand. Yes.
So, they don't have to do anything. They just have to be a member. Right.
Yes.
They don't have to be like, you know, signing stuff for the honor society and stuff.
No,
you know?
Yeah.
Okay.
And the biggest, for us, the biggest part of that is just, you know, the I guess getting them all on board and knowing that this is not just for the students too, but also for you. You know, NBEA is a great organization. You also get something out of it. But yeah, so I always tell them that, you know, we do this for the kids. So there's no extra work for them. We're just, again, encouraging them to be affiliated with NBEA, which is the governing body, all in all, of NBHS. So an affiliation. So for us, this is what I tell them, that, you know, you have to join NBEA because that is the required affiliation for NBHS. And sometimes that also gets us funding to pay for membership. So for example, my school will let me use certain account because I tell them that my membership with NBEA directly affects the students. Because if I'm not a member of NBEA or if not affiliated with NBEA, then we cannot have a National Business Honor Society, which is a recognition for our students.
And then if we started, we would be starting a new, this is brand new.
Yeah, yeah.
Can the students' classes that they took be grandfathered in? Is that,
Yes.
is that right?
Yeah.
And then also this February 1 deadline, is that more for like, if you I want to get it active next year, next school year?
Yes, next school year, or if you even if you just want to be sure that all of your seniors leave with that in their in their qualifications or for their resume. So yes, they may have not done all of the community service, all of the leadership part, but at least you already have that. Your seniors can get that, and then your juniors, who's going to be seniors next year, can run the chapter the following year.
Well, that's actually, I have that down as a question too, because the students, I have a lot of students that graduate early and are dual enrolled in college. A lot of the students that would qualify to be an honor society, they're graduating at the end of their junior year.
Wow. Yeah. So that's why we have that junior or the senior option. So they can be enrolled in their third business class, as long as they meet the 3.5 GPA and all of their business courses. So that could be what you could do. So induct them as a junior. So you'll only count their first two classes. And then, because especially if you do an induction ceremony in the spring in November, in the fall in November, there's really not going to be a GPA for their junior class, the third class. Does that make sense? If you do it in February, then you might have the first semester GPA counted or calculated. So
okay, thank you.
Yeah. So for us, we do ours in November. That way, all of those students still have pretty much the whole school year. So if you want to do the February one, then really most of the work is going to be happening the next year. So yeah, thank you. Yeah, thanks. Good questions.
So on your, when you log in, if you see here, kind of over to the side, you'll notice in the top when you log into your account, if it says your name or if it has your school name there. So that's how you're going to know what account you're in at the time. So like I said, the NBHS chapter account, it's really there to keep your chapter information current. And also that is how you will, you can renew every year. You can renew online if you'd like, which we'll cover that in a minute. But you would go into your chapter account to renew that particular set of the dues. You'll also have access to your personal NBEA account. And actually, so your NBHS account, you won't have access to until you're approved. But once you join NBEA, you immediately have access as an NBEA member. So the one thing that will change once your application gets approved is you'll gain access to the group page for NBHS. And I did a little screenshot here of my own to show you. If you go to the groups little heading there, and then you'll scroll down to interest groups, the NBHS chapter, you will find resources there for your chapter. So once your school is approved, you'll get access to that group. And so has everything from, the certificate order form, if you want to get certificates for your students. There's an NBHS induction ceremony script, so you can use that as a template for your own ceremony. And there's also files there for the NBHS logo. And I don't recommend that you download any of these forms and just save them. The reason being is if any of them are updated, then you have an old form. So anytime that they're updated, they will be posted here, and you'll always be able to access them here. So it's an extra step to get on there to get them. But like I said, if anything changes, you'll have access to the most up-to-date forms.
So yes, there's no CTSO requirement to be an NBHS member. In fact, those are two separate entities. So if we see that in your bylaws that they're required to be a DECA member or an FBLA member, we will send it back. We will let you know that, okay, we can't approve this because we need to change this in the bylaws. So for us here at Hoover High School, we have NBHS, then we have DECA. So they're two separate things, but there are some activities that we do together, but they're two different entities because, you know, not like DECA is open to 9 to 12. NBHS, it's GPA related, GPA based. DECA is not. So yeah, and that's another reason why we cannot require DECA or FBLA membership, because NBHS, there is a GPA requirement. So, and the CTSO doesn't. So yeah.
Okay, and really quick, just to touch on options for renewal. So you can renew online, but I do recommend that with the online renewals, unless you are just perfectly happy to have everyone log into their own individual accounts and take care of their own renewals. It gets a little confusing in that as an advisor, as I mentioned before, you have two accounts. And so you would need to log into your NBHS chapter account to renew your chapter dues. And then you would need to log into your teacher account to renew your teacher dues, your teacher membership. And that would go for, you know, if you have one teacher, then okay, that's 2 transactions. But if you have 8 teachers, you're looking at 9 transactions. So we do realize that can get tedious. So something else that we have is we have created a form. I know a lot of people would, you know, really prefer to have, to be able to submit a single form with their chapter and teacher dues all at once. And so we have provided a link to this form. If you can see here, it has the chapter dues are $100 here. And then your teacher dues, this is assuming that they are all renewing at the bronze membership level. You can make a note and change that as well. And then you will just list your teachers down here if you are going about it this way. But that is on, again, that is on the NBHS website, which I will pull that up really quick and post the link. So you can go directly to that if you'd like. And while I'm doing that, if you guys want to ask any other questions, we can move into the question.
I have some questions.
Okay.
We're a cyber school. Do you have any other cyber schools that are active at with this organization?
What does that mean? Like you're just
we're not brick and mortar. We're all online.
Yeah.
All the time. I mean, like the day March 21st, we just opened our computers at home and kept going, you know?
Going. Yeah.
Yeah, we're 100% online all the time. I mean, and we have 5,000 students, you know, so I mean, it's not, I mean, and I probably have 400 business kids.
Yeah, that is great.
So,
you know, all those business students, but not in the top of my head. Again, yeah, I'm the traditional brick and mortar high school teachers, and most of my network are the same. But yeah, the great thing about, you know, with NBHS is you guys can come up with activities that, you know.
well, that's the one thing.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Oh, no, it's okay.
I'm actually the FBLA advisor.
Too.
And
yeah.
I was wondering, like, how am I going to sell this to my principal? You know, like what he's going to say, because we have French Society, Honor Society, and this and that. And I saw this, and I just joined NBEA to get the standards because to write curriculum mapping. And now, like, oh my God, I'm so thrilled. We have all these great workshops and stuff.
Yes.
So I'm so happy. But
well,
so what kind of things are these kids doing in these meetings and stuff like that?
Yeah. So I'm gonna let any other teachers in here that has some suggestions about that. Okay. So yeah, I'm not talking. So 1 year with COVID, we did a virtual induction ceremony. So that's the first one. That was interesting because the parents were online, but we were all just kind of face to face. So the way I would sell it to my students is just like any other society. So you would say, hey, you are a member. Math has an honor society. We also have an honor society, which is a premier organization for us. So it's hard with virtual because I'm not as
Well, I'm more concerned, like, because I'm in Pennsylvania and our
Yeah.
students are from Erie to Philadelphia. I mean, they're the entire state.
everywhere. Yeah.
And so I'm not as concerned about coming up with ideas, but like it's sounding like, and I'm not saying this is wrong, but it's sounding like this is something to put on your resume.
Yeah.
And it's not like we're not doing like charity work or some kind of growth, like how FBLA has, all the different activities that tie to business.
Yes.
This sounds a lot more like.
Yeah. And yeah,
That's why I'm confused.
Yes. It's very different from a career and technical student organization. So this is more of an honors. So this is, I guess, honor society. So you as your chapter, you will get to decide how active your chapter is going to be. So because we have DECA, and just like FBLA, we have all of this other stuff that we do. So for us, the brick and mortar, there's 1 year where we have guest speakers, and we get to invite students and hear from different business people. And then we have 1 year we did a community service, and we did a what is it? The American Cancer Society. So we did a walk like that. So just depending on what the students want to do. Now, the last several years, we haven't really done anything. 1 year we went to the Tennessee Titans Learning Lab for a field trip where they talked to us about different options in the NFL, not just, playing in the game. So just depending on what the officers wants to do. So encourage them to, okay, let's go look
But
at our principles.
I have to be able to say to them, and we have field trips, and we have actually the Pittsburgh Pirate HR person came in and talked to us and everything. And so they're going to look at me and say, I'm going to say, it's up to you what you want to do. And they're going to be like, well, what are the options? What can we do?
Or I don't want to do anything, or, I just.
Right. I'm just like, do they have to do a certain amount of things to?
No, they don't have to. Yeah.
So am I reading this right? Is anybody else reading the room like this?
And to be honest, most of my students, that's what they do. They join NBHS because they want it in their resume and they want to work the honor court, because again, it's a recognition. It's kind of like, I've done all of this work for 4 years, and here's my proof that, I
think that's great. And I could push that and sell that. I just need to know what I'm selling.
I've taken 3 business courses, rigorous business courses, and I have a 3.5 GPA, and here's my proof to show that. So it's kind of more like a recognition of all the things that they've done in the business department all 4 years. So they get to show that at graduation, their name has a designation that they are a business academy graduate. So the work is really more like from 9th grade to their senior year. So for us, that's mostly the focus. And then we do activities throughout the year, but some other chapters are as active, and again, depending on the year. So yeah, I think that's probably what I would say. How about the other
Actually, that works for me, because I'm thinking, God, I don't want to take on like more stuff.
Like FBLA is already very big. DECA, I call DECA as a beast. We love it.
I know, and we have national competitors every year, so we go
there's
all
no
the
need to
way.
repeat it.
I mean, and I'm thinking, oh my God, I can't get more.
Yes.
I can't,
So yes,
but I want
society,
my students to be recognized. I think this is super.
Yeah, we want it to be more than just an induction ceremony, but also at the same time, to be honest, I have no time to do anything, grand and extra. So I'll let the officers decide on what they want to do as a society. So, yeah.
I've been retired for several years. I was the lead advisor at my high school's National Business Honor Society. And the Honor Society has continued since I retired, thankfully. But one of the things that we did We did not do a lot of activities. We didn't have a lot of meetings once we got our officers set up.
Mhm.
But I did want students to understand that service is an important part of being a leader, that
Mhm.
you have to do something. However, I also knew we had the National Honor Society, the National Technical Honor Society, the Mu Alpha Theta, we had more honor societies at our high school than you could shake. I mean, you couldn't swing a cat without hitting one.
Yeah.
So and all of those also require some kind of service component. So what our officers and the business teachers in our school decided was we would have a form that students could fill out about their service hours. So if they did a service hour for National Honor Society, not the National Business Honor Society, they could have that form filled out and signed by whoever was in charge of that service,
Mhm.
and bring it back to us and count that as a service. The church that I attend is called the Pumpkin Patch Church in our town because we have a pumpkin patch and we sell pumpkins during the Halloween season.
Mhm.
Well, we got 25,000 pumpkins that need to be unloaded from a truck. My honor society kids would show up and unload those. My granddaughter, who's at the Catholic high school, is in the honor society and they need service hours. Well, her little self was out there last year unloading pumpkins and we signed her form and she was there for 4 hours unloading pumpkins. So she got 4 service hours. So you can make whatever you want. There's no hard and fast guidelines inside of National Business Honor Society that says you must have this many meetings per year, you must have this many service opportunities, you must. Because high school kids are high school kids, and the kids that are interested in honor societies are, generally speaking, the kids that are in the thick of everything.
Yes. Yeah.
And they're involved. And if you tell them, well, in addition to the National Technical Honor Society hours, you got to have 10 hours for National Business Honor Society, they're going to go, not happening. So you have to decide what's going to work best for your group of students and not stress yourself out at the same time.
Yeah. And yes, it doesn't have to be just community service. It could be anything. And that's the great thing about NBHS, because it's a great recognition and honor for students, but the advisors are not, we're not killing ourselves adding more to our plate. So we let the students run it, encourage them that, look, you have to be a leader, you have to be involved, and you have to achieve things. So to me, just taking all of these classes in the business department, I mean, those are rigorous classes. Yes, they're electives, but they're harder than, basket weaving, or a fishing, fishing club, stuff like that. So yeah, just document that. And
can I be like really, well, obviously I've been blunt.
Yes, you can.
Here, but like, so it can be anything you want, or it can be nothing. You want. I mean, is that what we're saying?
There are. Yeah, I mean, we're not going to check on you. We're going to ask you to let us, like, when you renew your chapter, there is a thing in there that asks, what have you done, but it's not like we're going to check or anything, or you're going to lose your chapter stuff, because again, and it depends on the students. It's their honor society. So if the leadership at that time, or the seniors at that time, like this year, our seniors with COVID and everything, bless their heart, they're just not as motivated as before. So yeah.
I think everyone
also,
has a question also.
Oh, I'm sorry. Just one more thing, and then I'm going to be quiet for the rest of time. But just so then, also, in the first year or two, maybe we don't have anything going on, but in the third year, we have our act together a little more, and we, have people that want to. Okay, so it doesn't. Okay, I get it. Because in FBLA, if anybody's, there's like a million check marks.
Oh yes, yes.
So
yeah.
I mean, I'm into this. I can sell this. This is great.
I think Evelyn had a question also.
Yeah, thank you so much. Just curious, one of my classes is actually a college level self-management class that the local community college requires their business students to take. It's like a requirement for all the business students to take. And I teach that at the high school for college level credits, and they get one local credit for their transcripts. Does that also count, even though it may not fall into a pathway?
So yes, for us, because for example, in Alabama, I teach career preparedness, so we count it if it's taught by a business teacher, it's a business class. So all of the other career preparedness in my school, if it's not taught by a business teacher, we don't count it as a business course because it doesn't fall in a specific pathway. So because you are the one teaching it, you are a business teacher and it is a business class. So yeah, so all good. So yeah, so do you have a chapter already, Evelyn?
No, we don't. And it's something that's been on my mind for the past couple of years. And then I saw this, webinar and I'm like, oh my gosh, I have to.
Yes.
I have to do this. Yeah.
Yeah. So when you list that, we usually just look at the description and see what that looks like. So you just add that as one of the courses that you're going to be offering in your business department. And yeah.
Okay. So if I can just extend a little bit on my question, it was something that you said. So there's one that I offer, so I'm the only business teacher. So every 3 years I rotate classes. And one that actually the students wanted was like an intro to real estate. And, but that isn't in one of the pathways at all.
Yeah.
But does that, like, as long as it meets certain criteria in the description,
yes. Yeah. And I probably should have added that. So courses that meets the NBEA standards counts as a business course. So there is that big list on the NBEA website with all the standards. So that's another one. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
So it's just again, so case to case basis because every state, every school is different. So as long as it meets the NBEA standards, so it's fine.
Okay, thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. Great questions. I'm enjoying this. Yeah. Anything else? It's 6 o'clock. Let's see. Making sure, did we answer all the chats? Making sure I did that.
I think so.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. I guess we'll share this with the other people that has registered. So,
yeah. And if you look in the chat, if you have any questions after the fact, something you just didn't think of during our conversation today, you can always shoot us an email. NBHS@nbea.org is it's just a generic email, but that does come directly to me. If it's an administrative question, I can certainly answer that for you. If it goes a little deeper into the application process or approval process, really, then I will forward that on to Glenneth. So
yeah, and I also gave you all my email address. You can shoot me an email quickly. So. Okay. So yeah, well, we're hoping we get to see y'all's application packets this October or maybe in February. And good luck on the, looking for the funds for some of you. But I know if you believe in it, you can make it happen. That's the great thing about business teachers. We're very resourceful. We don't take a no the first time. It took me 4 years to keep asking for public funds to be used to pay for our NBEA dues. And I'm glad I didn't stop because finally they said, yes, sure. So, and I know some other teachers don't get that privilege, but before that, I just say, this is my investment to my students in my school, and then I write it off my taxes. So, yeah. Well, you all have a good evening. Enjoy y'all's night. We have our football game tonight because bad weather is supposed to be in Alabama tomorrow. So I'm kind of like, maybe we'll have I don't know. I'm not wishing for a bad weather, but it would be nice to have a weather weekend that's like no really weather. So, Okay, y'all, thank you so much for being here. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Bye-bye. Thanks, Margaret. Thanks, Violet.